Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Friday afternoon pre-lockout chat ahead of round 23, the penultimate round of fantasy for 2025. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And unfortunately, as a lot of Fridays, all the co-hosts are busy. Hopefully, we do have a special guest jumping on very, very shortly. But thought I'd get this started just because obviously we are running a tiny bit late, but obviously just want to listen to Free Kick on Air and get all the AFLW news and stuff before that starts. Hopefully, you guys have got your AFLW fantasy teams sorted and ready to go, and hopefully, you guys had a good start with your teams last night. But we do have two more rounds of the men's fantasy to go. So plenty to discuss and be answering a heap of questions. So if you've got questions, chuck them in live chat as always, and I'll answer a few of those along with our special guest very, very soon as well. So I guess I'll probably start off with what my current trades are this week. So Brodie Grundy obviously being the main one for me this week. He's the one that I'll have to be trading out, and he will go for me. Tim English will be coming in. I just love that matchup against West Coast. Probably too much to go against him and go for someone like a Max Gawn, who's got Hawthorn and Collingwood, who are a little bit trickier than West Coast. So I think English has been great all year. It'd be good to own him. I haven't owned him all year, and I really should have started him at the beginning of the year. So I brought him in. That banks a bit of cash. And because I had a 23rd premium last week, I've decided to go Chris Petrarca up to Matt Kennedy. That gives me about 84K for next week. If I did trade Mills out over Petrarca, I could get a Goulden, who's the only real midfielder that I really would want that I can afford this week. So I think Kennedy, though, against West Coast can have a decent game. And I think he'll go quite well. So he is currently sitting there as my forward. Looping Brayshaw tonight, seeing how he goes against Brisbane. He's just been a little bit down on form, so I thought I'd have a look at his score first, and if he ends up putting up a good score, then maybe my confidence of having enough forwards, maybe I do decide to go for Errol this week for the upside, and maybe grab a Kennedy or something next week. So that would be the only real thing I'd be contemplating this week doing, but at the moment, yeah, it'll be English and Kennedy coming in for me. So a couple of dogs against West Coast is where I'll be going. I'll also chat about captains fairly early in the piece, just because I'll get this over and done with before our special guest jumps on and we can chat through all your questions. So captains, the order has slightly changed a bit again. And number one is the one that's changed. I've got Rowan Marshall back at number one. I just think the Essendon matchup is so good that even if he spends any time forward, the ceiling is there that he could kick a few goals. But I do think Dodson has just come in to replace Heath. And I was thinking originally, did Dodson, is he coming into ruck a lot more than what a Heath did? But I think that Dodson's been playing as a second ruck, even in the VFL anyway. He's been playing a bit more as the forward, and it's been like a Boyd when he wasn't injured, or a Max Heath playing there where they've ended up going. So that's probably where I've landed. I just want to actually have a look at the last couple of games that Sandringham have played here. So like Dodson was the main ruck there, had 35 touches and 41 hitouts there, and Keeler was the backup ruck. I do want to see last time like a Heath or someone played alongside Dodson. So Boyd was there with Dodson. So Boyd was the number one ruck the previous week. So Dodson was the number one ruck last week because Boyd didn't play in the VFL. Then you go to even the week before. You've got Max Heath was the main ruck and Dodson was more of the forward. So it does seem like Dodson is just coming in to play a bit more of that forward role. And we know that Marshall's ceiling is massive. So that's why I've got him back at number one. I probably thought a little bit too much about that and probably overreacted a little bit. But Marshall is currently sitting number one because I think he's just got the ceiling to be a really good option as your VC for the week. And he's also gone 135, 117, 100 in his last three against the Bombers. I've got the Bont at number two against the Eagles. Bulldogs just need to keep winning well and keep that form up. And I think they'll win quite well against the Eagles on Sunday afternoon under the roof. And he's had a couple of decent scores against West Coast of late. And he's also been in great form, especially at Marvel. Like the amount of 120s he's got there recently has been pretty good. So I got the Bont at two. I got Jordan Dawson at three. And these are the three that I've really been tossing up my VC and C this week, right? Because Dawson is an amazing record against Collingwood at home. this week, and I think he'll go quite well. Scored 138 against Collingwood earlier this year, 117, 172, and a 112 in his 3 games before that. So I think Dawson's in for another good game, and obviously he's been really good as of late as well. I got Nasai Wanganeen-Miller at number 4. Slightly lower on the list, but still top 5. I still think he's a great option as a VC. I think a lot of people are going to go him or Marshall VC tonight into one of those mids. I guess the only reason I got Nasai just slightly lower than like a Marshall says, because I'm sure Essendon will try and do something to stop Nasai. Where they can stop him or not, I don't think they can. But just on the off chance he does get some sort of attention, that's the only reason I got Marshall sitting there. Because Richmond did pay attention to him for the first quarter and a bit, and he wasn't sort of as prolific as what we've seen. But then as soon as that tag sort of dropped, he went absolutely nuts. So he could go very, very big tonight. And I got Tim English running up my top 5 against the Eagles there. So some pretty good scores against them. So 98 against them last year, but then a 146 and a 132 before that against them. And I do want to have a look and see what the team sheets brought up, because if Flynn was still named, which I believe he was, Bailey Williams has come in as well, and he's named on the bench. So there'll be a bit of a sharing role between the two. So it's okay, not amazing, but it is what it is there. But I've still got him at number 5. I think he'll have a good game. 6-3-10, I've got Harry Sheets at number 6 against the Tigers. Think he goes really well in that matchup. Josh Dunkley at number 7 against Freo. His form's just been amazing. 110 in his last 5 games. I think he goes really well in this game, especially with Neil being out. I've got Max Gawn at 8. Pretty good history against Hawthorn. Not amazing in his last few against them, but obviously the only 5 scores he's gone below 110 since like round 4 has been against Witts, O'Brien, Cherry, the 3 toughest matchups bar Gawn in the AFL throughout the whole season, and then against Pitney when him and De Koning were sharing the role, and they're a bit trickier when they're both rucking together. And then the other one was against Marshall at Alice Springs, which Alice Springs, bit of a, you don't really see too many ceiling scores come there. So think he'll go really well. I got Jack Sinclair at number 9, probably slightly lower just because I just wonder if Guelphy goes to him tonight. I hope not, but that's just the one flag for him. And I've got Lockie Whitfield at number 10. Last time he played Gold Coast wasn't great. Obviously, it was the early concussion, but a 145 in his game against them before that. So hopefully he can go really well there and put up a good score. And I did have Nick Dacos as like just outside number 11. I think he can bounce back and score a little bit better against the Crows. So that's where we're landing with the captains and that. So currently this week, I've got Rowan Marshall VC into Bont. I'm tempted by Dawson. I've had Dawson VC into Bont for a bit of the week. I had Marshall at the beginning of the week. So I think I'll stick with Marshall and go there and then go into a Bont or even a Dawson if I see and I want to go there. But I think hopefully Marshall can get it done tonight, have a big score against the Bombers. And I think that's the other thing I think I'm leaning towards Marshall is the fact that he's got that ceiling, which is what you want the VC for. I know Dawson and also Bont have got it, but I think that the game might be slightly wet against Collingwood tomorrow night. Like there's a few showers potentially around, so does that limit like those marks for Dawson? That's that ceiling score, maybe not as high unless he gets those like 12, 13, 14 tackles again like he did last week, so which is definitely possible. But that is currently where I'm sitting there. And then obviously, as I said, Bont captain in the last game of the round. So let's go through your questions, and hopefully our special guest will jump on very, very shortly. But Tim has got the first super chat. Thank you, mate. Patreon Cup rankings. Yeah, mate, I uploaded the Patreon Q&A earlier today and said that unfortunately I haven't had time to do the Patreon Cup rankings this week with the AFLW starting. So Patreon Cup rankings will be out next week. So for the final round of the year, which I think is good as well. Look at everyone and who's in the running for that one. Figsy says, English or Marshall? I like English matchup and worried about Dodson being named for Marshall. I think it's a tough one, right? If you're really worried about Dodson being named, by all means, you could definitely go for that. If we do hear anything from like a Ross Lyon or saying pre-game saying, yeah, Dodson will be playing a fair bit of ruck time tonight and Marshall will be spending a bit of time forward, then that would be alarm for me and I'd then sort of react to that. But unless I hear anything from that, I think Marshall's the better option because of he's got 2 great matchups. Whereas English next wing against Fred's not amazing. It's okay. It's like neutral, but it's fine. But if you want to go English, it's completely fine. I think both are great options. Obviously, English has got a good matchup as well this week. Matt says, hey, Bale, should I trade Mills to Ash, Sinclair, Goulden, Heaney, Richards, or anyone really under 1.1? Sinclair matches my opponent this week. So I think I read today somewhere that apparently Lockie Ash, where did I read it? I read it somewhere. I think Jordy sent it to me. Apparently, he left the track. Lockie Ash left the track early at training on Thursday, having spent more than half the final time on the bench last round. However, Kingsley downplayed the situation, said, like most guys this time of year, so we need to manage him, get him ready for the game. He'll be fine. So in that, I'd cross him off. I wouldn't be looking at that. Just with any little niggles, with 2 games to go, I don't want any part of any potential injuries. So Sinclair, Goulden, Heaney, Richards. Is it? I'm thinking Sinclair if you don't think that he's going to get the tag from Guelphy. I like Goulden's ceiling for the final 2 games. He could go quite well. So it's probably Sinclair or Goulden for me. I don't mind Richards, but he just doesn't have that consistent 100-plus sort of game. He can have a lot of great games, still score mid-80s, low 90s. So just doesn't have that full fantasy game about him. And Heaney's great, right? He's another good option as well. I think I just lean towards Goulden over Heaney for a little bit cheaper as well. But yeah, Sinclair, great matchup against Essendon tonight. Could go quite well. And Sinclair also matches my opponent this week, says Matt. So yeah, if you think you're going to win, then get Sinclair match up and cancel that one out, because if Sinclair goes big, that could cost you. But if you're the underdog and you're like really needing something a little bit unique to win, maybe going, well, Sinclair, if he gets a tag, I'll go for Goulden, who's got the ceiling, and look at it that way. That would be where I'd probably go, Matt. Luke, Grundy to Sherry and Butters, Green, Brayshaw to Nasiah, or should I go Grundy to English and McCarthy to an 862k defender like Dale, LDU, Darcy as a 23rd loop? Oh, good question. I think it's the second one. I don't love Cherry as an option. Richmond matchup's great, and I didn't think I'd be saying that this year about Tristan Cherry. Like, I don't love him as an option, but he just hasn't tonned up his last 6. He's had 1 ton since round 10 against West Coast. That was a 111, so that was slightly underwhelming for, I remember a lot of us thought at the time. And I like Green, Butters, Brayshaw, and Nasai's a great trade, right? So, like, you're probably going to get more points from that combo this week. But then again, Grundy to English is a good trade, and McCarthy to someone like a Bailey Dale, who's got West Coast this week, could be a really good matchup for him. So I'd probably go English and Dale and go the Dogs duo. But if you're not loving those 862k guys, because the thing is, he's a loop, right? You'll be able to like loop someone if they don't score well. You play Bailey Dale. If you don't love that option, you could go Cherry and Nasiah, because Nasiah's a great option, right? Like Nasiah and Cherry. Maybe you go Cherry out next week if you don't want to deal with anything next week, if Cherry doesn't put up a massive score there. I just think that the ceiling of English this week, along with maybe a Dale who could go quite well, is probably where I'd lean to. Matt, who out of Nasiah and Marshall would you VC? I think I'm Marshall for the biggest ceiling, but both are great options, right? Both are going to be pretty popular tonight. So I think that someone, one of those two could be it for sure. Matt D, love your work. Bales, Nando's for dinner. Thank you, mate. No Nando's for dinner. And if you're referring to Nando, bring him in this week. I don't think I am at the moment at this stage. I don't think I can quite get him from Kennedy for getting rid of Petrarca. I'm about 30k short. I have to go Gawn to get Anderson. If I went Mills out, I could probably get Anderson, because I couldn't get Goulden actually getting English. If I wanted Goulden, I'd have to get Gawn. So I could get Anderson over Kennedy if I wanted to go Mills out, but I think I like Kennedy this week. So I think I'm probably going there. Next question, Matt again has got a couple here saying, I have Jez as my 23rd. Do I loop Jordan Clark or Jack McRae tonight? The one thing I'd say would be to have a look at the subs for tonight, because I know McRae was on the bench. So I just sort of wonder, is there any chance of him potentially being sub? No, he's not. So Saldell Hawley and Lance Collard are the subs tonight. So McRae's on the bench. Probably Jordan Clark, I think, against Brisbane would be where I'd go, because Jack McRae against the Bombers, even with low game time, I think he still does okay as a forward, right? So, but then again, you've got Jezza as your 23rd. But against Sydney, I don't love the matchup for Jezza, so I'd probably loop Jordan Clark tonight. If you can loop both, then great, right? Have a look at both. Matt also have Brayshaw to consider looping. I think Jordan Clark's the one I'd probably loop out of all three. But if there's a way you could loop maybe a couple, then that's obviously a way you could go as well. Matt, should I VC Marshall to match my opponent or VC Want as he doesn't have him? I'm not sure, Matt, who you're asking there, but I like Marshall as a VC, so he's my number one option this week as a VC. So I'd probably go there. Or are you saying VC Nasai as he doesn't have him? I'd VC Marshall because if Nasai goes big anyway, he's not going to have him, so you're going to be happy regardless. So I'll probably VC Marshall. Andrew says going C on Bont, VC Marshall. Yep, mate, snap. That's what I'm currently doing at the moment. Figsy, English or Marshall? English. Oh, yeah, said that before. Andrew says my trades are Grundy to Gawn and Mills to McKercher. Yep, tick those two off. I think Gawn's a good option and McKercher's a pretty solid option as well against Richmond this week. So definitely could tick those off. Casey John, Taybales, Curtin or Mills has to go. Tossing up between Ash, Libba, McCluggage. Have DPP so they can go either guy out or in. Put Butters as loop. Can't loop with Mills. Have 979K if trade Curtin and 1.004 if I trade Mills. Yeah, good question. It depends what you're after, right? So Curtin is very much a 90 plus or a 50. And Mills is pretty much a 90 or a 60, right? Like if you look at that, the way that it's really been going, Mills has got a few of those hundreds. I think I'd back in Mills, but then again, you're giving up, I think, less from Curtin to a top forward than Mills to a top defender. So if that sort of changes your thinking there, I think you can just afford Goulden if you didn't have Goulden there, Casey, if you're looking there. But Ash, Libba, McCluggage, wouldn't go Ash just with this talk of a potential injury. So Libba or McCluggage. Libba's got a great matchup. You could go him. McCluggage has been looking pretty good as well with no Lockie Neal. So McCluggage could be a bit of a pod play. I think both are good pod plays. Maybe you go Libba for the matchup. The matchup's better for Libba than McCluggage. But McCluggage is a great player as well, right? So, and like Libba, actually, no, I would go McCluggage, sorry, Casey, because the thing that worries me about Libba is he's been someone that they have subbed out earlier in games when they're up by a bit. So I'd go McCluggage just to be on the safe side. So I'd go McCluggage there. Rom, a very left field question due to my crap team. Would you play Liddy or Farah in the 22? Yeah, no, it is an interesting one. Liddy or Farah? If you could loop, that'd be great. Oh, no, you can't because they pretty much play at the same time. Probably Farah because he's gone over 80 before, whereas I don't think Liddy has. So I'd probably go Farah. Probably got the bit more upside, but then again, he's against the Giants. Don't love that. Liddy's up against Carlton. What did Liddy score last week, actually? That would be a good question to answer. Liddy scored 65. It's okay against Freo. Maybe you could go Liddy. The matchup's better. Maybe go Liddy. Actually, no, go Liddy. He plays further up the ground, Rom. Farah will play forward. If Giants are looking good, then Farah might not get a lot. But it's a tough one, right? Maybe put the emergency on Farah. If he's on a good score at quarter time or midway through the second quarter, you can change it. Then maybe you do that. Zach, McCarthy to Dunkley, moving Butters to an M9 loop. If Butters puts up a decent score, who would you bench out of Warner, Holmes, Josh Dacos? So firstly, McCarthy Dunkley, great move, and really like that trade. And Butters' 23rd loop is really good as well. If he does put up a decent score, Zach, benching of Warner, Holmes, Dacos, probably Warner, just because he just doesn't have that ceiling, the same that Holmes and Josh Dacos do, right? Warner's really capped at like 105, 110. He's only put up 1 ton since the mid-season bye, I believe. So I'd probably back in Holmes and Josh Dacos, even though Holmes could get some attention from James Jordan, but I think I'd back in I'd back in Holmes and Josh Dacos and bench Warner. And Andrew was saying McKercher or Ash. I think I'll go McKercher now with the talk of there being something a little bit going on with Ash there. Callum 5, hey, who would you bring in out of Callaghan, Ashcroft, or anyone else that is under Anderson's price? Already have Goulden. All right, let's have a look at let's have a look at the players under Anderson's price. So Callaghan's obviously a good option if you want to go there. I would go Callaghan over Ashcroft, I think, with the better matchups for Callaghan. Myers, if you don't have him, still an option. Not a great matchup, though, this week. No, you can't consider Brayshaw, I don't think, at the moment, unfortunately. McCluggage is an option. Obviously, his last couple of games, he's gone pretty well. 119, 112. No Lockie Neal could go well, but does that mean he gets any attention? That's the only thing I'd probably consider. Obviously, Libber's there as well. Ed Richards is there. Colby McKercher. There's a few names there. Hopefully, that sort of does help you there with your question, Caleb. And we do have our special guest on. It is Nathan from HatChat. Nathan, mate, welcome.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Just going through some questions, mate. But how's your team shaping up? Because I feel like, you've obviously been overseas, right? You've been over in America, and I've been looking at a lot of AFLW. So I feel like I haven't been as 100% engaged with AFL fantasy as what I have been throughout the season, mate. But how's the week looking for you, and any sort of ideas what trades you're looking at doing?
Yeah, obviously, massively important week. The finale of the Content Creators Cup for me. So definitely a huge opportunity up against Holmesy here. And, it's nice to be the last Hat Chatter standing. I think I've won my last 7 games in a row in the Content Creators Cup, again, just to sort of steam in. I think I was ranked 13th or like 12th with 4 or 5 rounds to go. So really come home strong, which is great. And then, just obviously the man whose team is 7th is significantly better than mine. So at the moment I just have to hope that he, focuses on winning his car rather than, on little old me in the Content Cup. But at the moment I'm going Grundy to English. I just want to have a nice. I think he's the one with sort of the biggest ceiling, and while Max is a great opportunity for me, I already have Roma, and I think English just has the potential to be bigger this week, which is what I would need in order to win that matchup. And the other one is a bit TBC. I've got the E on Ash in the defensive line and on Jackson in the forward line. And so, if Jackson does poorly, I'll go. I'll keep Warner, and I'll probably trade Butters to Sheasel. And then, but if Jackson does well, then I'm pretty confident in my lineup, and I'll go Warner to Sheasel, and then I'll be looping Ash and McCarthy. So that's the plan for trades at the moment. Just because of the news about Ash being a bit sore, I'm just worried about him potentially putting up another stinker. But I think there's also the potential for him to go absolutely bananas this week.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing I was going to say. Yeah, I heard about the whole Ash being a little bit sore and leaving train a little bit early. So something to watch, definitely. But don't know if you are aware of this. I mentioned it, I think, a few weeks ago, but this will be the first Content Creators Cup since its inception a couple of years ago that does not a winner will be outside of the Fanatics or the Ball Boys, because that's the grand final just in general, because it's been Guesty and Mitch and then me and Luke last year. So now it's the baton has been handed over to a couple of different pods in HatChat and Pod. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the chocolates there, because that will be exciting.
I've been pretty close. I've been the last Hat Chatter standing, I think, in all the years, which is great. Even the years where for some reason Sanch was 110th, but I beat him in the Content Creators Cup. So I definitely this is where my area of expertise clearly is. So hopefully can bring it home. But Holmes is just an unstoppable man this season.
Yeah, exactly. He's having a very, very good year. Captain and vice captain, what are you looking at doing this week? Because I've tossed up a lot of options this week. It's been from Marshall and Nasir and Dawson, Bont. There's been a few others as well. Who are you sort of currently leaning towards with your VC and C? Are you looking at doing a VC tonight?
Yeah, again, I think I need to go bang, and it seems as though the scores that have been going bang in the last few weeks have been in the rucks. So I'm going to go VC on Roma, just because, either Dodson, I just feel like it's the perfect VC opportunity, because either Dodson, plays a bit more ruck and Marshall sort of has a bit of a poor performance, or he doesn't, and then Marshall could go 140 tonight. So, and then similarly with English as my captain. English will probably be the captain. So, dual ruck in the VCC.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I was Dawson into Bont for a bit of the week, but at the start of the week I was Marshall VC into Bont. So I think I'm probably still on that Marshall into Bont. I was a bit nervous about Dodson coming in, but even looking at the like last few games of the VFL, when Boyd or Heath have played with Dodson, Dodson's played a lot more forward. It's been a little bit of a chop out. So I'm hoping that Marshall is just the number one ruck. And if not, we put a straight C on a Bont or something like that in the last part of the round, last game of the round.
Just I'll play it by ear based off where I am in the Content Cup, and then I'll make a risky pick.
Yeah, exactly. And if anyone is tuning into like Fox Footy and is looking at anything that Ross Lyon says, if anyone hears anything about Dodson playing more ruck time or anything like that, then that's when I'll probably pivot.
Keep it to yourself. We don't want that negative energy.
Saxon Pedler's got this one. Looking at Tim Kelly to Libba or Butters to Bont. Where would you be going this week?
Tim Kelly to Libba, I think.
Yeah.
I did not realize. Yeah, I didn't realize Tim Kelly was playing.
Yeah, would you go for an Ed Richards over Libba? Because I was seeing about this before, that Libba in games where they've won quite well has been subbed out at 3/4 time just to give him a bit of a rest, and I feel like that could happen again. But he's probably got the better ceiling than an Ed Richards. Would you still go Libba, or is that a little bit of a
might depend where you're ranked? I think it might depend where you're ranked. At this point in the season, if you're like on the cusp of banging down the top 1,000, then maybe Ed Richards is a bit safer. But if you're not, or you're in a position where you're going to have to, rise up the rankings through some unique means, I actually don't mind Lever as an option, because he'll score well if he's not subbed out. And, who knows? Maybe they sub out Bont instead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you never know, right? They might sub at someone else. So, yeah, Liver's got the ceiling for sure, I would imagine. XD Rippo, trade Petrarca. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know. We do love Libba. XD Rippo, trade Petrarca or Mills, and then also looking at Goulden or Callaghan as an in. So, is it Petrarca over Mills that you're trading out?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just think, Petrarca is probably only safe enough if you don't have if you only have the 6 forwards, because he's not that much worse off than whoever the F6 is going to be that you're going to be bringing in. But if you're bringing in the same person, I think he's absolutely the one that needs to go, just because it seems a bit boring and a bit safe. And we saw how well Essendon did with scored on the defenders on Geelong last week. So I think Mills should be relatively safe and okay. For at least an 85-90, which seems like Petrarca's ceiling at the moment.
Yeah, and
this is, again, me speaking, I've never owned Mills this season, but I did bring in Trucker, and I've traded him out last week.
Yeah, and I think Geelong are a decent matchup over the last 5 weeks as well for those designated kickers in defence. I think Mills can have a pretty good game there. Goulden or Callaghan, where do you lean there?
Callaghan for me. I just think a bit more unique, and I think he's just got 2 great matches on the way home. Goulden's been a bit disappointing. I don't think he's necessarily, in easier games, hasn't gone on to have those big ceilings, and in harder games has, struggled a little bit. So I definitely see a world where Goulden outscores Callaghan the last 2 weeks, but I see a world where, if you're asking who I think might be more likely to outscore the other one by 40, I think it's probably Callaghan. It's going to outscore Goulden.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I do like Callaghan's matchups. Yeah, it's because normally you'd say Goulden, right, with the ceiling, but as you said, he hasn't really shown that same ceiling issue. I think he had a couple of 120s back to back when he first came back, but besides that, he's just been a lot of 90s, and they get a 140.
I've been very anti-Goulden this year, and kind of paid off, but yeah, I'm just not a big fan of him. Coming back up into the season.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. Bella says, looking at going Daniel or Petrarca to Myers, or Brayshaw to Dunkley or Goulden. Where do you lean there? Are you doing the forward trade to Myers? Or
truck to Myers there. Truck to Myers. At the very least, because you'll want him for next week. And then Daniel this week up against Richmond, we've seen, probably should be a pretty safe floor.
Yeah, I just have a feeling Brayshaw's going to have a pretty good game tonight. Like, we're all trading him out. He's all been in the conversation about how poor he's been. I could just see him going quite well against Brisbane tonight. Big game for Freo at Optus. So I think he goes all right. But if you are trading, I still don't blame you for trading out. Luxury trade season, you're probably bound to get a ceiling score put on your head from a preem at some point. Anyway,
just reading goes.
Exactly. That's just luxury trades, and that's why
I'm keeping Bray. I'm keeping Bray. So the more people that trade him out, the better it is for me, because it's the more likely it is that the footy gods laugh.
yeah, hopefully he can put up a good score. Just seeing Xander Maguire just tweeted out about sort of 20 minutes ago saying frustration at Marvel Stadium where the roof was left open for a period of time as rain swept through Docklands with the ground still slightly wet. The matter has been referred to Greg Swan, the AFL. So both teams apparently are not happy, particularly St Kilda. So that's interesting that the roof was opened when they expected maybe some rain, but interesting. So maybe it might be a little bit of wet.
Yeah, I like the idea that the big takeaway was players are unhappy, as if does Wang play better with a smile on his face, or does he do better with a half frown? It's an important takeaway. It's like, no, I think they'll all be fine. Maybe at the very maybe it's a little more contested and Marshall gets more hit-outs. That'd be nice.
Exactly right. And some tackles as well. We know he can rack up those tackles. Will Byatt has got a super chat. Thank you, mate. He's asking about VC Marshall or Nasiah. Where would you know, Nathan? I'm VC Marshall for the ceiling.
I've got it wrong, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks this season in a row. So I'm going Marshall, so that means probably Nasiah outscores. And again, I think it's just because I think Marshall has which sounds insane to say, but I think he has a better chance of going 140 this week. I think that with all the news about Nasiah, I don't know if it's just other teams are putting slightly more attention to him, but not necessarily the attention in terms of, tagging. I think the attention in terms of they now look to see where he is and maybe put an extra player moving sort of towards him, rather than letting him run around completely free, which he seemed to do for the majority of this year, and is the reason I'm ranked so highly.
Yeah, and I think that, like if you're looking at the two, who's the most likely to get some sort of attention, it's Nasiah. That's why I've currently got Marshall there. But I think both will go quite well tonight. But then the other part of Will Byatt's question was best mid under 997. So that's pretty much from Noah Anderson's price down. So you got like Noah Anderson, Finn Callaghan, Hugh McCluggage, Ed Richards, Liberatore. Is there one that stands out to you from
Finn to me is the most exciting, I think, just in terms of what he can do. And just, again, I like the uniqueness a little bit. Anderson feels safer, but I'm all in on Callaghan.
Yeah, I think I like Callaghan. I don't mind Anderson, but he had such a big game against Giants last time they played. I think he had a 133 with like 43 disposals. So I just wonder if Giants, they don't tag, but I just wonder if this game they go, we have to win this game. Let's make sure we take the captain of Gold Coast out of it. That's sort of my thinking there. So maybe you go Callaghan with that, because I don't expect Gold Coast to send anyone to Callaghan, and then St Kilda haven't been tagging either. So, I think I'd probably go Callaghan there as well. Or I don't mind Matt Kennedy. If you want to save some cash over Kennedy, and Kennedy yet, that's where I'm looking as well this week. Next question is from Defenders Bro. Thoughts on Grundy to Marshall and Brayshaw to Dunkley, or should I go Mills/Tom Green to Sheasel? So I think we're both saying Grundy to Marshall's a tick from us. Is it Brayshaw to Dunkley or Mills, Tom Green to Sheasel?
I think it's Mills to Sheasel only because, I hate it, and that's pretty much what I'm doing this week. I'm going to English and Sheasel, and I think it's just because Sheasel, if there's going to be anyone that might hurt you this round if you don't have him, because he's so highly owned everywhere else, I think he's the one that is at risk of ruining your enjoyment. I mean, to be honest, watching the North Melbourne Richmond game is already going to ruin your enjoyment of football. But if you are watching that game like I am, not owning Sheasel will be painful.
Yeah, and he could go quite well this week. So, I would agree. Mills to Sheasel for me. Tom Green.
So I've just realised the classic North Melbourne fan in me that I will fly to LA for 2 days for a friend's wedding, but I won't fly to Hobart to watch North play. That's just the level of support and belief I have in my team right now.
No. I like that one. Hopefully, surely Tom Green goes well against Gold Coast. He had a 119 against them around 15. It's not that long ago, but Tom Green since the bye has just been shit, really. Just hasn't got it done. So hopefully against Gold Coast, the matchup's there. Surely he goes well. But I'll take a ton, to be honest, to just get a ton, and I'll be happy. Have you got Tom Green actually? Nathan?
No. I've gone in with the strategy this year of never getting any midfielders, so I still have 3 defenders in my midfield. It's kind of paid off for me.
Yeah, actually,
But yes,
I think I've got the two. Have I got two? Yeah, I got two defender mids and one mid forward at the moment, but that's only because
yeah.
I'm looping Brayshaw. So technically, just 2 defenders in my midfield.
No, I've only ever had max 5 mids in my team, and they've been Bont, Dacos, Dunkley, Dawson, and Brayshaw. So not bad.
It does feel like that year though, where a lot of people had a lot of
Yeah.
those defenders in the midfield. So hopefully we can see the mids pick it up next year, because it's been a couple of years we've had some low midfield scores. Antonio Mano says, which one of Mills, Butters, Salem out for Dunkley? Salem is an interesting one. What's Salem been doing lately? Christian Salem, he is at 927, so he must be going okay, averaging 91.9 for the year. 103, 103, 87, 113, 89 in his last 5. Got Hawthorn and Collingwood at the G.
Not awful. The thing for me is Brayshaw Butters next week could be huge. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you'd rather get rid of one of
like
those
the
other
2, and
defenders.
even if he goes 70 this week, he's probably 130 next week. So he's going to average 100. What were the 3 options again? Sorry, mate.
So it's trading out either Salem or Mills. I will just say Salem against Hawthorn earlier this year went a 70 and 64 against Collingwood. So not a great score against them. I'm probably Salem before Mills out, even though Salem's been quite well. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. But if you've enjoyed owning Salem as a unique, fucking keep going. I like it.
He's got the ceiling. Like, he had a 139 against Sydney earlier in the year and had a 139 against Richmond. So or a 124 against Giants. So if you're looking for that ceiling play and you're down in a prelim final or anything like that, Antonio, then Salem's got the ceiling over Mills. So that might help you there. But I think Butters stays out of those 3. We actually had one from Ron.
We didn't look at what days of the week they played. You know, if anyone's on Sunday, we have to say no.
Mills is on Sunday and Salem is the twilight game on the Saturday. So, you can look at Butters, obviously, if they've got a loop. But yeah. The other one from Ron before, I answered before, but he said, very left field question to my crap team. But he said, would you play Liddy or Farah in the 22? If you got an opinion there, Nathan?
Liddy or Farah?
No,
I don't have any opinion on this. I'll be honest. When I came on, I did not expect that to be a question.
I said Liddy because Carlton and Farah's got Giants. That's probably where it for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There is, one of them has a capacity to put up a 70 this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think fair enough.
LM, do you think Bedford tags Anderson this week? As I said, they haven't tagged for a while, Giants, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did because of how well Anderson played in that last game and being a big game. Do they want to use Bedford as a tag?
What was the outcome of that game? Did the Suns win?
No, I believe that Gold Coast won, but Gold Coast got out to an amazing start. Like, they got out of the blocks. They're up probably like 5 or 6 goals, I reckon. But GOS came back and won the game. But I'm looking here. Anderson had
Bedford play
40. He did. I don't think he tagged though. But Anderson had 43 disposals and 2 goals. Scored 133. So that's probably just my thinking. Do they tag him because of how well he played the last time they played, and take the captain out the game? You might be a bit better off, but
I don't think so. I don't think if they haven't tagged, and B, Gold Coast is a pretty hard team to put a tag on because of their flexibility. You tag one, they've got 2 others ready to dominate. So no, I think it's fine personally.
Yeah, I think it's fine as well. Maybe if you're trading him in, maybe you go, I'll go Callahan instead, right? Just on the off chance that there's a tag there. But I think if you've got,
I was already Callahan over
holding
Nando, but
Dodson playing full game, Collard sub, any flags on Marshall? Well, we saw last week, Rippo, that they subbed at Heath at halftime. So if Dodson got subbed out later on the game, especially if it's going to be a little bit wet underfoot with the ground, Collard makes sense to come on as an impact sub for like a Dodson type. So yeah, and he's a VC anyway, right? So we're taking the look at the VC. He's got the ceiling, and if it doesn't work, then you're back in a captain. So that's what I'd be looking at there. Haz says, is it worth trading in a red dot to get? Oh no, this for AFLW. So we're going into the men's pre-lockout chat to ask a question. Bales, is it worth trading in a red dot to get Wrench's 75 She's my highest scoring player on the bench. No. 75 is great, good score. I'm very, very happy that I had Wrench on field last night, but I wouldn't be trading in a red dot because the difference between AFLW and the men's is that we saw, like, for example, like Lucia Painter and Havana Harris, who both had really good games last night. If anyone watched the AFLW, they're going to go up. They're going to go up in excess of 100K. They're going to go up 150K. If you bring in a red dot and you trade out someone that's going to make 100K, that's a fair bit back in a short season where it's pretty much a race to get a completed team and get those ceiling scores up. So for me, I don't think it's worth it because if you play, you've got like a Beck Ott, for example, at 344, scores a 50, being the number one ruck, which I think is definitely very possible. You lose 20 points, but you get the cash gen of Wrench and Beck Ott instead of having to use a trade on a red dot next week to bring in a defender rookie. So I wouldn't be bringing in a red dot. The only red dot I'm half considering is if Piper Dunlop tomorrow puts up a good score and I trade Schultz down and get a lot of cash there if Dunlop scored like a 90 or something like that. But that's pretty much about where I'd be looking at there. Matt D, any smokies you consider? Windy versus the Dons, Norton versus the Eagles, McKercher as a VC, etc. Archie Roberts tonight. Geez, a few wild ones there. Nathan, any
I don't think you can go McKercher as the VC. I mean, you know, English,
him in, I think.
If you've got Richmond. English, you can definitely trade him in. But yeah, I don't as the VC unless you're like really confident in English. But you know, English against the two rucks might be a bit more difficult. Again, I'm still banking on him, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind it as an option. But it's just if we didn't have such great VC options, and we have some really good VC options this week, so I'm a little hesitant on that. Who have the Saints got next week? If you were to go Windy this week,
GWS.
Yeah, nope. That's a nope for me. Again, assume that whoever you bring in this week, you have to play next week because based off the number of injuries and stuff we've been having, I don't think you can bring someone in to bring them out. I've seen people like trading out Cameron this week with the interest of trading him back in next week, and I'm going, I don't love that.
Yeah. I think, and even Archie Roberts, like went 107 last week, then there was a 60, an 80, a 60, a 120, a 70. I wouldn't be looking there. And Norton against the Eagles, I love the matchup this week for Norton. I think he could go really well, but that's a 1 week play. Like he's got Freo next week, bit of a tough matchup. I don't think I'd be looking there. So probably not any of those.
I'm okay.
I'm okay
with going Norton or Sam Darcy. I'm okay doing that.
Yeah, I think Sam Darcy is the one I'd probably go the other two. But actually, Jake mentioned this one on Wednesday night. Nathan, I want to get your thoughts. LDU, mid 700s, Richmond this week. Could you get him as a 23rd? No. Just think he's not the player he was last season. I think I saw something the other day. He has had 7 coaches' votes for the year. Yeah, right. Not good at all.
So yeah, bad time to be a North supporter. So it's a no for me. Even up against Richmond, he's just not shown even a ceiling to dominate. And when North win games, it's not necessarily through a great performance in terms of one player just absolutely dominating. It's more like a hard, tough fought battle, and just the least ugly win.
Yeah.
So exactly. No is the long story short for that.
Yeah. Corey Terry, Butters out for Goulden or Brayshaw out for Dunkley? I prefer
Brayshaw out.
Week, probably this week. It really comes down to what is it? Butters and Dunkley or Goulden and Brayshaw?
I think Butters and Dunkley for the next 2 weeks. I'm very anti-Goulden, so I'm aware of that. But that's a genuine coin flip. Do whichever players you enjoy watching. If you're having a few beers tonight, and the downside of going Brayshaw to Dunkley, you can numb the pain with that with a few beers and friends. Then I'm okay with doing that. But if you're sitting at home alone watching that game, because it should be a cracking game tonight, a real tough decision for us all as neutrals to figure out. This is where fantasy people are important for the AFL, in that out of the 2 games tonight, who is going to be watching the St Kilda game instead of the 4th v 5th? Who's going to be watching Saints Essendon? And it'll just be everyone with a Marshall VC. They'll be like, all right, this is a specific subset of people that really want to watch Wanganeen Miller. It's like, no, we've all got the Marshall VC.
I've got the Marshall VC, but I'll be watching the Freo Brisbane game, I think, still.
I also will.
And I also have my...
I've got Dunkley and Brayshaw, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I'll be looping as you said, a Jackson and a Brayshaw in that game, and I'll probably have my laptop open with the AFLW, probably the last quarter or so, last half of the Sydney and Richmond game. So be looking at that. I think that's the only game tonight, isn't it? Yes, there's no more games tonight, so rest is on tomorrow. What do we got here? Limit says Rosie Ash McKercher. I'm assuming are you looking as an option to bring in Limits? I'd probably go McKercher. I think.
Yeah, honestly, I think McKercher could be the biggest upside.
I just wouldn't be looking at Ash bringing him in this week just with those rumours. And Rosie's got the hands. His thing he's probably still dealing with. He had a bit of a different role last week, so I think I'm McKercher there, which is crazy because I traded him out a couple weeks ago. Dylan James, can I keep Grundy for next round bails to win my grand final, or do I trade for money? So actually, I know Dylan asked this question early in the week. So Nathan, Dylan said that he's pretty confident in winning his grand final this week, and he thinks he'll definitely win, and he can hold that trade till Sunday because he's probably going to bring in like an English, for example, right? Is there a play that if you're going to win the grand final this week and you're just playing for your league, could you hold Grundy and then have a next week against West Coast as unique?
Well, what's the odds he doesn't play next week? That's my only concern. If he's not 100%, he's not training, he's not going out, why would you risk Grundy playing in that game? Especially if you've got Laddams there, you don't have the worst backup. So I would be maybe just see some information over the next couple of days to have an assessment of if Grundy is, if they're saying, oh yeah, he'll absolutely be right to go next week, then yeah, consider it. But I think there's a very real possibility that he doesn't play next week either, and then it's an absolute disaster for you. But maybe maybe it's not trading in English because it's trading in a Gorn instead, or trading in another ruck.
Yeah, well, looking at the injury report, normally we've seen, I remember seeing LDU on the injury report when he got concussed, it was 1 to 2 weeks. Grundy's listed as just 1 week. So that gives me a little bit of confidence that it's not something they're concerned about and he'll play. But as you said, West Coast next week, does he play, or they just go, let's see what Laddams has got if he's got a contract? I don't know if he's playing for a contract or he's got a contract issue. I don't know, but do they trust someone else next week? I'm not sure.
I just think if there's any risk, they're not going to play him. Are they playing at home or away?
That's a good question. Probably away because they got the SCG this week and West Coast are at home. Yeah, it's at Optus. So is there a point of flying Grundy all the way over to Optus to play against West Coast for the last game of the year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could hold it, but I just think that there's probably some better things to do with that cash.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Maybe it's you don't go to English. Maybe you go to someone who you're more confident in next week. I mean, who does Gorn have next week? Is it someone all right?
Collingwood.
Okay,
So
maybe less so. Let me have a quick look at the matchups. I mean, TDK against Goldstein could be good. There aren't maybe Nank up against Geelong at the MCG could be a unique option there. Yeah. Yeah, no, I reckon that could be it. But yeah, I'd still probably be going English regardless. But maybe that's the only thing I consider. I wouldn't be keeping Grundy just because of the thing. If you are 100% confident he plays next week, bang, go for it. Keep Grundy. I disagree with that morally because I'm always all about rank regardless of what happens. If you're ranked 14,000th or 20,000th, may as well go for rank.
I'm the same as well. I try and go for the best rank possible regardless there. Tony, trade Petrarca or Cameron to Richards? I think even in tough matchups, it's probably still going to be Petrarca. Like Cameron's got Richmond next week. You don't want to, as you said before, no, you don't want to trade out Cameron this week and then get him back in. It's just a bit of a waste, I feel, just going sort of back and forth with these players. So I think I'd be going for Petrarca out, and Richards is a good option against the Eagles. Has asking about LDU versus the Tigers or Newcomb versus the D's for Butters or Holmes tag cover. So he's looking at bringing one in. He's obviously looping Butters to see if he goes well. So if he was to fail, would you go LDU or would you go Newcomb? So Newcomb goes Melbourne this week into Brisbane, and then LDU goes Richmond into Adelaide.
I hate them both. I would go LDU with the hope you're trading him out next week.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd go as well. The better matchup. Will, so did you get to my team review, Bales? That's what I'm doing straight after this, Will. So don't worry, I'll be getting to that very, very shortly because we'll do a couple more, then we'll wrap up because the game will be starting in about 15 minutes. Actually, we'll do rapid fire for the last couple of questions we got here. So we've got Sinclair or Goulden for Mills. So I'm assuming you're Sinclair.
Sorry. Yeah, Sinclair. Sorry, I'm only used to try to spade rapid fire.
T. McManus, Mills or McCarthy to Sinclair? McCarthy trade allows me to bench Butters this week.
Yeah, McCarthy.
Yeah, McCarthy.
He'll be good. He'll be good, and I'm gonna loop him with Ash this week. But yeah, no, if you can get rid of him now, like you don't necessarily need him. And he's a bit more difficult to loop with this week because, yeah,
they play
later
on, don't they? Don't they play later on?
I think they play last. So
last against the Dogs, of course. Yeah, of course, last game against the Dogs. Says, cheers, Bales and Nathan. Appreciate your good hard work. Good luck this week. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it. I don't get this level of thanks on my pod. Maybe just I do, and DC doesn't read it out.
Casey John says, McCluggage got any potential Taz coming? Libba v McCluggage. I don't think he does. He's got Freo tonight, maybe O'Meara, maybe, but Wagner's back in. So does Wagner go to McCluggage or does Wagner go to Zorko? Maybe that's something there. And then they go Hawthorn. Hawthorn haven't really tagged. I feel like I lean towards human luggage, Nathan, just because Libba, if there's a sub out, then McCluggage won't. But do you have an opinion, Libba or McCluggage?
I would go McCluggage over Libba.
Yeah, I think I'd go there as well.
But I think for that price, there are others around as well. Yeah,
Ed Richards is another option that you could consider. What do we got here? Anything else? Jack said, did you feel Zippy Fish in AFLW Fantasy? No, I didn't. She is on my bench, and I know she's going well. She's on 50 at halftime. That's great.
Bang! I've got her on my field.
Yeah, I went the.
This is why you bring me in the Content Creators Cup, Bales.
Don't maybe apologise again, Nathan. I've already apologised a few times. I did fish on my bench. I went for the premium mids on field, and funny enough, Zippy Fish is only 24 points away from matching Laura Gardner, matching Charlie Rowbottom last night, who is nearly $1 million more expensive. And I've got Laura Gardner, who's scoring 1 point less than Zippy Fish on field. So, that's great. But I'm just looking here, good from Tanner Ham there, 39. Morfitt, good start for anyone there. Chloe Malloy, if anyone went there, 55. Good start for her, half-time. Some solid scores there as well. Izzy Bacon for you, Nathan, on your bench, 24 half-time. Pretty good. Very good for a defensive.
I'll take that. So, I think, I've only got ham, fish, and bacon on for this. So I only chose meat-related products. I only chose, meat and fish. That's all I was allowed to choose. Yeah.
I'm seeing Laura Gardner had 14 points that quarter, so she was on 35 at quarter time. God damn it, that would have been a massive score if it wasn't for that. But anyway, we'll get back to the last couple of questions.
Gardner is vegetables. Gardner's for vegetables. Meat, ham, and fish. That's it. Bacon, ham, fish. That's all you need.
What do we got? Last couple. Patrick McDonald, would you trade Brayshaw to Dunkley? Issue is I have Hewitt and can only get him up to someone 1.09 mil, and my head-to-head has Dunkley and worried about him. Yeah.
If you're worried about him, and if there's other areas, that you think you can beat him in the other matchups, go for it. Other than that, I like going Hewitt to Callahan personally.
Well, it's Hewitt to Callahan or Brayshaw to Dunkley and then match his opponent. I guess it probably comes down to, right, do you think you're going to win, Patrick? If you think you're going to win, cancel out Dunkley, who can go massive and bring your opponent back in. But if you're down and you need a ceiling, maybe. But then again, almost like no, I'd still trade Hewitt to Cullen if you need like a pop score from someone.
Yeah. I just think in terms of what's more likely to be a 50-point difference.
Yeah. Has says, I copped Caitlin Cox and Darcy Vesio Unford. Yes, I don't want to speak about Darcy Vesio. That was a very, very annoying game to watch last night that didn't get off the season off to a good start. I didn't even see what Caitlin Cox was on in the game. 11. 2 tackles, 1 kick, 1 mark. Also seeing Paige Scott has also given away multiple free kicks, so they are struggling on 0 points at halftime. Where were we? Dylan James, should I get De Koning? He versus Eston, then for Grundy. I'd make a lot of cash from that to get rid of McCarthy on field. I don't know about you, Nathan. I think I'd still rather the big ruck and McCarthy on field. I feel like TDK's checked out. I think he's checked out. I just don't think he's going to put up any good scores. Pitney could come in next week, and then all of a sudden, you're thinking, well, I shouldn't have brought him in. So,
I think TDK for next week, why not? But this week, I just think, if you don't have Marshall or English, they absolutely could go 130, 140 this week, and then, they're probably 50, 60 points up on TDK, and whoever you're upgrading McCarthy to isn't going to be 50 or 60 points better.
Yeah. And I just realised for Patrick's question as well, Hewitt's got Port, then Essendon. So I'm probably leaning to keeping him, and I'll trade Brayshaw to Dunkley, I think. I think Hewitt with those 2 matchups could go quite well. Maybe keep him. Final question we've got is from LM. Is Ash the trade out for Sheasel or one of Anderson, Brayshaw, or Holmes as a trade in the week after? I think would you be happy to trade Ash just with these rumours?
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'd
happy to trade
him. Because if he's someone that you could trade this week, goes well, bring in next week. Because he's actually going to drop a bit of cash. So he's someone that you could trade. I'm a bit worried about him for the last couple of games. And Jack says 2 games tonight. Watch long. No watch long tonight. I want to sit down and watch AFLW and the men's footy. So unfortunately, no watch longs this weekend because I'll be going to the Crows game tomorrow night. Massive game. It was a sellout already, so should be a really good one.
I mean,
maybe we'll probably
Crows next week. Probably probably a bigger matchup. The Crows game next week probably more important.
Yeah. Crows North Melbourne. Yeah, interesting one.
Yep.
Well, after the way that
the
Crows went against West Coast a couple weeks ago, last week, I'm not going to definitely not saying anything. And I've never said anything about there's a guaranteed win because you're off by a couple percent. The other team gets up and they win. So North, they did to Gold Coast a couple of years ago. Last game, they beat them. So I'm not ruling anything out.
And then we didn't get Harley Reid because of it. So that's the thing. You need to figure out, is there a way that North Melbourne can screw themselves up worse?
Yeah.
So, yes,
Colby, though.
no.
Colby at least. But Colby is still good.
Colby's great. Better than Harley Reid.
Jack says Dunks, Goulden, or Whitfield.
Dunks.
Yep. And then Fee, last one, Hill or Butters to Nasiah.
Butters
for this week because Hewitt's got the matchup. But yeah, go Butters to Nasiah. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then Moonboy said Ash injured. Yes. Yep. Came out today that he is dealing with a little bit of soreness or something because he went off early at training and obviously rested the final quarter. So.
Bales. Would you then be keeping Warner and go instead of Warner to Sheasel, would you be going Ash to Sheasel? Keep in mind, I can loop Ash with McCarthy, so it is less impactful for me.
I think you loop, but then Warner's got Geelong, but then he's got West Coast. But Warner just hasn't done it. He's got 1 ton in his last 7 games, so this was a one.
I don't need the forward because I've got 4 Cats plus Kennedy and Jackson. So
yeah, trade Warner. The upside of Ash is there, and if not, McCarthy could score the same as Warner this week. So I'd probably do that.
Sweet.
Trade Warner. Yep. And that will do us there. Actually, we'll do it. The last 2 came in. Figsy, Whitfield or Kennedy?
I mean, unless you have like a Petrarca or a Warner as well that you would be getting rid of next week. But get rid of if you're doing it to bring in a 7th forward to get rid of a forward you don't want next week, sure, but otherwise Whitfield's absolutely going to outscore Kennedy.
Yeah. And final one, Jackson Giles, Petrarca to Jackson or Mills to Ash? Petrarca to
Jackson, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, definitely not getting Ash.
Will...
I would go Petrarca to... Sorry, I would go Mills to Sheasel instead of Petrarca to Jackson.
Yeah, if you can get there, that's for sure. Yep. Beautiful. All right, that will wrap us up there. We got, 7 minutes before the St Kilda game starts. So, Nathan, for those people that missed it before, your trades and your VCC.
I'll be bringing in English and Sheasel, and going out for me will obviously be Grundy, and thanks to your fantastic advice, will be Warner out as well, unless Jackson stinks it up tonight, in which case I'll be creative with my looping. And then my VCC will be the Rock combo, Marshall into English.
Yep, beautiful. Love it. And I'm Grundy to English as well, and I'm Petrarca to Kennedy with a little bit of looping going on the bench this week with a Jackson and a Brayshaw. VC is on Marshall with the ceiling there, and then captain is on Bont. I'm tempted by Dawson, though, against Collingwood. I will be at the game, so I might be tempted to go there, but at the moment it is Bont. So
got to do it if you're at the game.
Yeah, I'm tempted. That's why I want to go in VC. That's why I want to go VC on Dawson into Bont, but I just think that Marshall, if he goes absolutely massive tonight, that could be. I'll be pretty disappointed if I missed that. I missed out on Grundy a couple weeks ago with the 150, so I'm not doing that again. So I'll go Marshall tonight. So
cool. Bales, right. Is there a cash? If there a cash prize, is there the charity prize for the Content Creators Cup? I just need to know how much to be worried about this weekend.
I believe so. I'm pretty sure it's what Guesty's done. So I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure we've done that at both years. So I'm assuming that the same thing will happen again. So I'll make sure. But I'll almost
now I'm stressed.
Oh, good luck, mate. Good luck in the Content Creators Cup Grand Final. It will be very, very good to see. Holmes got a hat. Nathan gets Content Creators Cup, then both win. But I guess we'll have to find out, right? It'll be a good one there. Good luck to Holmes. Good luck to yourself.
I'd enjoy that because otherwise I have to go, I cost charity 5K because I'm shit at fantasy. That's just not something I would ever thought I would have to say.
Exactly.
But yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Well, I'll let you go.
Jumping on me. Where can the people find you if they have not followed you already?
It's a bit late, honestly, at this point. If you haven't followed me by this point, don't. There you go.
Yeah, or it is at Obermullet, and as Jake always says, with a T. And you'll find me at BAILSDT and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. Good luck this week for your teams, your prelim finals, whether you're chasing a hat, carb, top 1,000, top 2K, whatever your goal is. Hopefully you get there. Hopefully you get into your grand finals. And good luck with your AFLW sides as well. We'll have our round review for both the men's and the women's on the Sunday and the Monday. So tune into those when we do record them. So thanks everyone for tuning in and enjoy the weekend. See ya.